slow down. You got a penalty for cutting the cord.
How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome back to a new league racing video here for round 2 of the RTA Virtual Motorsport IndyCar series, this time at Watkins Glen. And as you can see, qualifying having a bit of a shaky start, but before we get fully into this one, let's take a look at the standings very quickly after the first round in Road America. As you can see, down in 14th place, which is still pretty good, 32 points. Peter McCann leading the way, but you should have seen round 1's video by now, and it was a bit of a mixed one. First race went well, and then race 2 and 3 were a bit disappointing, but still gives a lot of confidence and something to work towards for this round and for the rest of the season. But here in qualifying now, heading into the infamous bus stop chicane, absolutely setting in 5th gear and holding it over the bumps, and then into the long right-hander. For this one, I didn't get to take part in the practice on the night before. On Monday I was busy with other things, so just had about an hour's practice before this one to get used to this car around this track. Luckily, Watkins Glen is one that comes up pretty regularly in official races, so I have a good idea of how to drive around it. But obviously every car has its own nuances and how you need to drive it around different tracks, so trying to find the limit of the IndyCar around here. I feel like I got a pretty good grasp of it fairly quickly as we head to the end of the lap now. Very fun, very fast track out of the final turn, going up to the line. We were 13th, going to improve by 8 tenths, which I wasn't expecting, and move up into P9 by the end of the qualifying session, and qualified 10th in the last round. It was one of my, if not my best qualifying session, so it plays better even this time up in P9. Still 1.2 seconds off Jason Smith in pole position, but hopefully we can do like we did in Road America and get a good result here in race 1. So rolling down to the last corner, and we are going here for the first race. A tricky last corner to get going here, especially on the inside understeering a bit, and that allows Finley to carry more speed around the outside and keep that position. Through turn 1, a tricky one at the best of times, and even more so with cold tyres, but getting a good line through there and a good exit. Now we're in the slipstream again, heading to the bus stop. For this first lap, again with the cold tyres, going to take it nice and easy through here and hopefully just survive as we do through the first part. But on the second part, we just hit the curb. It sends us into the wall, and we end up bouncing back across the track then and get collected by, I think it was Josh Brown, which is unfortunate. As you can see there, just was hoping to have a similar result to round 1 in race 1, but starting out here in Watkins Glen, and we're continuing on from race 2 and race 3 in round 1. Had to get a tow back to the pits then, so we're after losing a couple of laps, and we're down in 23rd place. As now we're just starting lap 5, and we've moved up one place from, or going to move up one place from somebody having to go into the pits, and we're just behind Simon Hutchings, who is on the same lap as us. It could have been Simon actually who collected us or ran into us on lap 1. As through the chicane there, Philip Upson having a bit of a moment of his own. Luckily for him, he was able to keep it out of the wall and keep it facing in the right direction. As now we're going to try and just hunt down Simon, maybe make up one more place in this race. I have been running just by myself for a good couple of laps in this one, so once I got behind cars I started to make a few mistakes, as you can see there, just dirty air and not being used to it, and in all honesty just driving like shit basically. Excuse me. But yeah, on the last lap now, well in the slipstream of Simon, we mainly caught up with him because he's been stuck behind a few slower cars who are a couple of laps ahead because of us having to make pit stops, keeping it nice and tidy. Through the bus stop chicane, Simon gets a bit checked up there behind Jamal, I think, so he closed in a lot on him there. At this point, gotten a bit used to the dirty air, and through this hairpin, a bit of a better line on the push to pass now, up into the toe, taking a wider line to get a bit of air on the wing. Simon goes a bit wide and we managed to cut back underneath for a bit of a switchback, which was a very nice move if I do say so myself. That was all that happened then for this race, skipping ahead to crossing the line to finish race 1 in 21st place. So yeah, 21st it was then, Jason Smith taking the race win, and a bit disappointing when you look at where Finlay finished in 7th place, considering we were behind him at the time of our crash on lap 1. It's a story of what could have been in this race, but we'll put our head down for race 2 and hopefully we can get towards the sharp end in this one. But as we get going here in race 2, I've left a good gap to the cars ahead, and as we start to slow down there's a bit of braking, and Dara Ali ends up smashing into the back of me.
We've got damage on the back end.
I have lost my rear wing. So this race is pretty much over before it started. Through the last turn I was taking it very easy, and even at that with no rear wing, just lost the back end and moved it around, and then as we come into the pits, going to get that damage repaired. Luckily, as always, fast repairs here in RTA. As we come back out onto the track, we are down in 24th and last. So yeah, not really much more to say about that, just have to hope for a few incidents for others if we're going to make up a few places. And later on that lap, see Dara Ali has had a bit of an incident, the second one of the race, the first one being with myself. So move up place there. Moved up a few more now into 20th. Ronan Doherty is just a couple of seconds ahead of us now, just after coming out of the pits. He's a bit quicker than I am, so wasn't expecting to be able to catch up with him or fight him. But we have managed to catch up with Nikki and Emma just ahead. These two have been fighting, and Nikki just goes off the track. We are on the final lap of the race now, so making up a position there halfway through the final lap. And just like in race 1, I've been running in clean air, so trying to get used to the dirty air and being behind cars once again. We locked up in the car before the tow which we're going through now, just trying to get close to Emma. Unfortunately, on the exit of the tow down this straight, even with push to pass, we're just not close enough to be able to try and make it into the final section of the track. Getting very close under braking, but through the final couple of turns, unless Emma makes a mistake, there isn't really any way that we're going to be able to get past. Really pushing through the second to last turn, and then takes it nice and tidily as well. And then through the final turn, I get a bit of a better run, and then with push to pass we have more speed with the slipstream, but the run to the line just isn't long enough. Emma holds on for P17 and myself in P8. So 18th then, somehow made up 3 places from where we started, and Jason Smith taking second win of the evening. And looking at some of the others, such as Simon Hutchins and Dermot Toomey, P10 and P11, they started around where I started, and they got some good results. So again, just showing that there is opportunities for good results by being able to keep it clean in this championship. But now moving on to the final race of the evening, taking it even more cautiously than before on the pace lap here, the bigger gap than I was before. And around the final turn then we go green for the final time at Watkins Glen. I've already made up a couple of positions, I think, before we even get really going for turn 1. Turn 1 we get a bit understeer, side by side with Philip Upson. through the S's of turn 2 and through turn 3 I have the inside line and we managed to get that position. Up into P14 now, breaking the toe as we head into the bus stop for the first time, and actually sending it pretty nicely through there, not taking it too easy, and means we close up a lot to the cars ahead who had made a bit of a gap because of my poor run through turn 1. Now into turn 6, Dermot goes a bit wide, so we have a bit of a look down the inside, we were not able to get the move done. And now into the toe, into this hairpin, we send it around the outside, get the move done, and then Jamal, he was after running a bit wide, he was off the track, and luckily there was just enough room for me to squeeze between Jamal and Dermot there and get 2 positions in 1 turn. So being pretty aggressive at the moment, but still I feel like I'm taking it nice and easy, playing the percentage game and just really trying to revive for 1 race this season and trying to get a good result. Now behind Simon Hutchins and Tony Stack. I have been around these lads, although they've a few times been a couple of laps ahead. I do feel like I have a bit more pace than this evening, so hopefully we can try and get past them fairly sharpish. Through the bus stop on lap 2, there's a car after having a moment, and we had Tony there, he was trying to avoid that incident and ended up just pushing me off the track a bit. Luckily we stay out of the barrier and we keep going in the right direction. Jamal made a bit of contact with me there as he was trying to go past. You can see here Tony just had to avoid that car that was sideways. It's a natural instinct to just try and avoid it, you're not really thinking about the other cars at that moment. Luckily we don't get any damage and we're able to keep going as there's another car after having a spin just on the apex of the final corner there. Luckily we managed to avoid them as well as we're trying to once again chase down Dermot after we made not to toot my own horn or anything, but it's a pretty nice overtake around the outside of the toe on lap 1. And now heading down into the bus stop. Dermot going for a move on Tony, and at this point, this is where the title comes into it, where I need to have a bit of patience. I felt like I was maybe a bit faster than Dermot, if not around similar pace, but I felt that I was faster than Tony, and seeing Dermot get past, it meant that I felt I needed to get past Tony ASAP so I could try and stick with Dermot and maybe overtake him. Through the toe, the corner, I felt I was very strong, get really close, and then with push to pass down into the heel. Have a bit of a dive down the inside, get a stop, now we're side by side, heading up into turn 9, but Tony has the inside line, so he has a nose alongside, have to leave the space, and on the exit I just get a snap, go into the limiter and onto the grass a bit, which allows Tony to keep the position, and through the second last corner Jamal just completely forces me off the track there, which is twice in this race now. Jamal has either made contact with me or would have if I didn't go off the track, so I want to look out for him a bit. Through the bus stop chicane, fully sending it there, going over the limit a bit. We managed to catch back up right to the back of Tony, then through turn 6, again getting nice and close, getting a good exit, and then into the toe. As I mentioned, felt like I was very strong here, so just going to try and get a good exit here, get close to the back of Tony, but once we get the power down, just lose the back end.
Looks like you
And as you can see, not very happy with what's happened there. Just got on the grass after that slide, and I would have been fine only for the tyres there sticking out from the barrier. Meant that I couldn't just ride along the barrier and ended up losing my wheel. So we go back into the pits to get that damage repaired, and on the exit we are racing with David Ward, who gets the momentum around the outside. One positive I suppose is we have a couple of cars that we can try and fight with, give themselves a bit of entertainment for the second half of this race. as through the bus stop chicane. Then up ahead, Gary Corcoran, he goes wide, and it didn't look like there was any contact made there, probably a bit of net code or something, but David ends up getting shot into the wall, which is unfortunate for him, but at least I get another position back, and now we can set our sights on Gary. As we skip to the end of that lap then, out of final turn, get a good run on Gary, but I was just focusing on getting a good exit out of turn 1 and getting the move done up the hill. But on the exit, Gary gets a big snap, goes for a spin, spins in front of us, and
Your front wing is damaged. You might get under gear due to lock downforce.
I end up just clipping probably the rear of Gary. Didn't look like I made any contact, but we end up getting some damage to the front wing. Very frustrated at that, because in the previous race, any of the lads that said they got damage said that was pretty severe and very understeering, so that's what I was expecting. But luckily the damage didn't affect me too much, and we managed to finish the race nice and safely, just about keeping it under the incident point limit. We ended up with 14 of the 15 and finish in P11, which is a good result, but as you can see, not very happy with it, and I think I could have got a lot more out of this round. So it was P11 in the end then, only 8 drivers finishing on the lead lap, so bit of a bloodbath here in New York State. Dylan McClemens taking the win, and a very good result for Kevin Joyce getting P2. Again, just like the last round where Brian McCarthy got a good podium, just shows that some of us lads that aren't usually at the front the whole time can get some good results in this series. And then taking a quick look at the standings after this round, lose a few places down into 15th now, so still top 15, which is usually my aim at the beginning of a season, and hopefully we can try and keep our place in the top 15 for the coming rounds. Indianapolis at the Oval coming up next week, very looking forward to that. I feel like it's a track that I likely have a bit more experience than the majority of the drivers in the league, a place where I've had some decent success in the past, and as is in real life, on ovals anything can happen, so hopefully just keep it clean, be patient and get some good results. But that was it for this video and round 2 of the RTA IndyCar series. If you did enjoy, make sure you give it a like before you go, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the season's videos. But until the next one, thanks for watching, see you then.